Hi everyone. I want to take a moment and go over the feasibility report, this final document that you all are working on and starting to put together. Now in your conferences, I said that you're not starting from scratch. And that's because a lot of what you've already done in your progress report and your proposals start moving into the feasibility report. Oftentimes they're edited and fleshed out a little bit more, but a lot of that information goes directly into this report. In addition, you're going to see a lot of repetition. I know when you're kind of looking at the details of what's required with this, you start getting a little nervous about a 20-page possibility, a 20-page report. That's probably well over what most of you have written for other classes. But remember, not only is there a lot of white space due to bulleting and indenting and things along those lines, but there's a lot of repetition. And the reason there's this repetition is because readers are radars for information, right? Most people don't kind of go from the beginning of a document and read all the way to the end. So people are interacting with these documents for different reasons, which means they're going to different sections to get information. So a lot of the stuff you're going to see as we go through this feasibility report is repeated again and again. That means for the most part you can actually copy, cut, paste, into several different places some of this information. So here's a few things that I want to go over. I want to talk about the feasibility report and what it means with the information you have already. So the first page is the transmittal letter, and basically it's just a memo that kind of gives the overview of the report. The one thing that most of you I see might have a small little error on is the to and from section. If you were addressing it to me, Heather Caldwell, comma, instructor of English, then it should be from your name, comma, and with the title. You could be a director, you could be a co-chair, you could be a student of 111 or of 212, pardon me, whatever it is that your group decides on. But if I have kind of that title, you should as well. So in the transmittal letter, it has a lot of the same basic stuff that you've already kind of gone over, and it's that overview of your report. It actually talks about the overview of the project, kind of that context, the purpose of the study. It talks about the methods that you use, so you did more than just a questionnaire, right? You did primary research, you did secondary research, interviews, all kinds of things, collected and analyzed data. Then it also talks about the findings. Now when we oftentimes write, let's say, a paper for a typical class, you kind of save the big 1-2 punch for the end. Here though, not only do you talk about the major findings that you have, but you also present the recommendation. You don't wait until the very end. And then you have this kind of ending down at the very bottom, if we need more information, who to contact. So this is the basics of the transmittal letter, and this should be the first page of your report. We then have the title page. So we talked before about how we're blending genres in a way here. I'm asking you to write a business document like you would in the business world, but it still is academia, so we do have to do things in APA. So as I said before, APA doesn't mesh completely as far as formatting goes. So I want you to do the APA citation, but I want you to follow the formatting of this report. So our title page will look pretty similar to this. Should be prepared for, which would be me, if anyone else would be included there, and be prepared by, which would be you. Now the date at the bottom should be the date that it's submitted, which would be Saturday, May 5th. So that will go there. Now one thing that I'd like you to notice is the transmittal letter and this page, you notice don't have page numbers. So keep that in mind. That might be one of the trickiest things for some of you. The next thing is the abstract. So this is the third page. Now on the third page, some of you have already written abstracts, and this one's a little different. Abstracts, again, are an overview of the project. If you're going to the consortium library and you're researching a topic, usually there's a little blurb that kind of pops up that lets you know what the article is about. That is the abstract. So this is basically a blurb, a summary of what the article is about. It should follow the same thing here. You'll notice that the title this time is in quotation marks, prepared by all of your names. Now some of this information comes directly out of the letter of transmission, or transmittal letter, pardon me, and also some of this comes directly out of the proposal and progress report. on what date so-and-so gave me permission to do what, right? So all this information's here. The methods, again, are presented. The major findings, again, are presented. The major recommendation is, again, presented. So all this information is just repeated again. The one thing you'll notice that's different, and this is something that a lot of students actually forget, is the keyword section. So when you go to the consortium library and you're searching for your keywords, right, to find an article, these are the words they're looking at. So in essence, these are tags for your article. So you want to use words that relate to your article. So things like the and are not it. Feasibility report, not it. But what's the subject about? So is it the Olympics? Is it study area? Is it nap time? Is it test results? Is it advising, right? So that several keywords that if someone was searching for your article, what would they find? The other thing that you'll notice on this page when you scroll down is that it is using Roman numerals, lowercase Roman numerals. This is because it's part of the front matter, and it's one of the first pages of your report with text, but it's not actually the body of your report. So the next page now is the table of contents. There's several things you're going to notice about the table of contents. First off, it doesn't start with any of the information that came before this page. So it's going to start with everything that comes after this page. The next thing you're going to notice when you're looking at this page as you scroll down, just like the previous page, it has the Roman numerals on the bottom for the page number. Now, depending on the format, or pardon me, the template that you use, there's a lot of different templates. What you want to think about, though, is visibility. What is easy on the reader's eyes? So some templates have like a bunch of boxes kind of around each thing, which can make the page look really cluttered. Some templates might not have kind of that dot, dot, dot line from executive summary to the page number, which can make it hard when you have a lot of information to figure out what page is that actually on. About what will help the reader and what is easy for the reader to see and to figure out, because again, we are writing this for the reader. Now we come to the executive summary. Again, you're going to see a lot of repetition. We kind of come back to the items that we had in the progress report, even the proposal, the things that we had in the executive summary, the things that we've had in the abstract, the things that we've had in the letter of transmission or letter of transmittal, and here they are again. So you're having, again, that brief presentation statement, you're having the background, you're including the methods, a brief statement about that, the major findings. When you keep scrolling, you come down to that major takeaway point. So you're continuing to have some of that repetition in this executive summary. This is also the first page where it has an actual page number. You'll notice that page number is in the upper right-hand corner. Directly following that, we move into the introduction. So again, you're going to see a lot of that same information, that you have the brief statement of the context, right? Some of that stuff that's coming up, but you're starting to build more elaborate context of the situation. You'll notice with the introduction, the header, that it is centered. It is still in 12-point font. The only difference is that it is bolded. It is not italicized. It is not in 16-point font. It doesn't have quotes on it. It's not polka dotted. Same font, same size, just bolded. Okay, so keep that in mind. Those are some of those nuanced things that are going on. At the end of the introduction, you're going to have your transition statement. So in that transition statement, you basically let the reader know what is coming up on the rest of the report. These little transition statements are really important in your report, so please make sure that you look for them in the example and use them in your own report. After the introduction, you have your research methods. These methods, basically, when you go back to your proposal and you're talking about what you were going to do and why you were going to do it, is the same thing here. So you're talking about the methods. It's what you did and why you did it. So it's really important. You're not presenting any findings here, okay? It's what you did, why you did it. And task 1 from the proposal is task 1 in the progress report, and is task 1 here in your report. So as you go through, you're noticing this is more than just a paragraph, that there's actual detailed information here. And some of your tasks are going to have more information than others, but it should be as detailed as possible where you're really breaking it down and you're really starting to talk about what you are hoping to get from it, okay? You can bring in a little bit of things from here and there to kind of like set up why you are looking into something. That's totally fine, but you're not really presenting the what you found for each task. Now, the one thing that they do that I've asked you not to do is to actually embed your questionnaire into the body of your report. You're going to have it as an appendices, and we really don't need all of those questions in the body of your report. Instead, what I would like you to do is talk about what you were looking at, what kinds of questions in general you were asking, what you were hoping to get from that. But please do not embed your entire questionnaire into your report. That should be as one of the appendices. After the methods comes the results. So what you're doing in this section, it's your task and what you found. Now is when you're really detailing all that information. So if you did that progress report the right way, basically you're just editing, maybe adding to that information in the progress report and those completed tasks and presenting it here. So for each task, again, it's what you did and what you found. So the method is what you did and why, and now it's what you did and what you found. You'll also notice that, again, that these are detailed responses of what they found. It's not just a couple sentences. It's not a generic overview. It's detailed information. This is when you're bringing in a lot of your research, a lot of those citations that you did, using full APA citation, using block quoting, the whole nine. Every quote should have a page number or a paragraph number, right? So following all those things that we've been working on all semester. Now, when you start presenting the information from your questionnaire, please don't present all the information. Just like I don't want you to embed it completely into your report, it should be in the appendix. All of the tabulated information will be in the appendix. Here, I want you to detail the most significant information. So is it really significant that 14 respondents were male and 6 were female? Well, maybe if you're looking at something on a gender comparison, right? But just a chart of that isn't really a significant finding. So please make sure it's your significant findings. Also, when you're thinking about your graphic, I want you to do 2 things. First, go back to week 3 and look at the handout about how to format it properly, because I'm looking for specific things. And secondly, think about, is this information appropriate for a graphic? So if you have a graphic and it's saying that 100% agree with you, that doesn't really need a graphic, right? Graphic is oftentimes to look at comparisons or a breakup of different perspectives. So 100% isn't, it's just a pie chart that's all one color, right? So that's not necessarily what we're looking for. So the idea is something that is significant data and that should be represented visually. So make sure that you're looking for some of those things. After the methods, after the results, now we have the conclusion. This is where you're really putting everything together. So in the methods and results was what you did and what you found, and as a reader, I could take anything away from that. So when you get to the conclusion, now it's time for you to start breaking it down and trying to make sense of what we should be taking away from that information. This is not the recommendation. Basically, you are just at this point trying to kind of tuss out that information and start leading us to where we should be going, right? And here you'll notice that they have some secondary headers. They've broken it down into faculty attitudes, student attitudes, computer labs, all these different things. Yours might not be broken down that way. Yours could be broken down differently. It could just be a regular paragraph form without any secondary headings. It really depends on the topic that you're studying. So again, what makes sense for your project? And finally, we get to the recommendation. It's here that you're making that final recommendation of what should be done, what shouldn't be done, maybe a different course of action. It's not just a sentence. It's typically a paragraph. This is information that you're taking from other places, and then you're supporting that recommendation with a little bit of information as to why we should do this recommendation, right? So think about what you're actually recommending and what you need to have there to support that recommendation. This is also what makes this report different from a typical research paper or a typical argument paper, is that you're actually saying that we should be doing this next. So this is a really important stage and a really important section in this project. We then have the reference page. Now this is APA, and this is your last required writing course for most of you. So this is something I'm really going to be looking at. Not only APA citation in text, but also at your reference page. I can't, in all good measure, allow you to go out into the world of your major without having citation down. So a couple of things to note. First off, this is APA, so the header should be references, not works cited, not bibliography. Okay, I'll definitely mark down points for that. It should be alphabetical by author's last name. It should have the hanging indents. There's no bullets. It's not numbered, right? So strict APA. If you're still uncertain of resources, the back of your book has an APA guide. Purdue has an APA guide. Diana Hacker has an APA guide. Whatever one works for you, please go there. Please follow it. If you have questions, let me know. And then directly following the reference page, you have your appendices. You're going to have at least one appendix, and that's going to be your tabulated questionnaire. You'll notice that this is lettered instead of numbered, so it's Appendix A. And please just include the tabulated questionnaire. I don't need a blank one and then a tabulated one. I just need the tabulated one, so please make sure you include that. If you did any interviews, your notes, email correspondence, need to be included as an appendix as well, so please make sure you include that. Alright, I look forward to your final reports. You all have worked really hard on this. After our conferences, I'm really excited to see where you're taking these and to see these completed projects. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.